The content on my channel. This video is specifically about investing and specifically about SpaceX. Now I have usually used this channel for talking about electric vehicles and talking about promoting electric vehicles in New Zealand, and then also a bit of political stuff, a bit of just covering what's happening in the area around me. But I wanted to go a different direction because I've recently been investing in Tesla since 2016 as a result of my interest in electric vehicles. And with Tesla's increase in market cap over the last couple of years, especially this year, I've been talking to a lot of people about Tesla and about investing and my investment journey. And I thought I'd make a video just giving some information, maybe not necessarily back, we can talk about that some other time, but looking forward as to what some options are. And specifically this video here, we're going to focus on Kiwisaver. But before we get into the meat of the video, there are some sort of caveats I should go through. So I'm a long-term Tesla investor. I've been following Tesla since about 2016 and I've made some good returns off that, and the reason I mention that is because it's really good to kind of look at investing in Tesla as very different from what you invest with your Kiwisaver fund. Investing in single stocks, particularly like Tesla, is quite high risk, whereas normally with your Kiwisaver you're investing into a really broad collection of stocks and different options, including property, including cash, including bonds, and that spreads your risk portfolio out. Just keep in mind that it's something that you should only be looking at doing if you are very happy with accepting a high risk, and if you have a lot of confidence in what you're doing, and also if your Kiwisaver isn't your sole form of retirement savings. And also, this isn't financial advice, this is just my own opinion, and this is my own personal journey that I'm just sharing because a lot of people have been asking about it, and I've been talking to a lot of people about the different ways to invest in Tesla and other companies as well. So basically the main focus of this video is actually SpaceX. That's why it's got a nice little clickbaity headline. But at the moment, just for a short summary, SpaceX is a private company. You cannot buy and sell SpaceX shares on any open market. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't SpaceX shares out there, and that certain places such as Google own SpaceX shares, and there's a lot of other companies that own SpaceX shares as well. However, normally you can't, as an individual or as a private investor, go out and invest directly in SpaceX. Now this is a problem because if you're like me and you've been watching SpaceX for the last 10 years and you've been amazed at what they're doing and how they're literally turning the space industry on its head, and you think that where they're going to go from here is just entirely unpredictable from what we've traditionally learned about space. But if you like me and you think that investing in SpaceX would be a really good solid investment, and you think that there's a lot of upside with SpaceX, it's really unfortunate that small-time investors are shut out of investing in SpaceX. So one of the things that people have been talking about with SpaceX is how do we as private investors get involved in SpaceX. So one of the ways is by buying shares in Google or Alphabet, which is the holding company of Google. Now Google back in 2015 bought about 10% worth of SpaceX, 9% to be precise, and so now when you buy a share of Google, you're also buying a portion of that holding. So every share of Google you buy, you will get some of that investment. But this isn't the best way to buy SpaceX. As we've worked out, so this is the numbers here. So they have 9% of SpaceX, and that's assuming that that's not further diluted by later funding rounds. So it's actually probably less than 9%, but that's the only information that's public. So we'll go for 9% for now, but it's actually less than this. Now, Alphabet's market cap is just over $1 trillion, and SpaceX's market cap is about 46 billion. So basically, when we take Alphabet's market cap and we divide it by the value of what their SpaceX share is, we get how much their share of Alphabet is now worth, and then we can divide that by their total market cap, and then this is how much a share of a share of Alphabet owns of SpaceX, 0.32%, which isn't a hell of a lot. So for this reason, I don't think that buying Google is the best way to increase your exposure to SpaceX. It is one way, but it's not the best way. So that brings us back to the other options. The only option that's available to New Zealanders for investing in SpaceX via their Kiwisaver, and again this is quite limited because Kiwisaver is, you can generally only invest in a few things that are on offer to the New Zealand market, and then yeah, you've got to find someone that's actually got something that's got SpaceX in it as well. So there is pretty much, as far as I can tell, one fund that lets you that has a holding of SpaceX, and that fund is the Scottish Mortgage Investment Trust. Now, despite what the name sounds, Scottish Mortgage Investment Trust, they're not just Scottish and they're not just mortgages. They are investing in a whole range of different technology companies. Now, Scottish Mortgage Trust, or SMT, is got some really awesome advantages, and they're investing in a lot of really great stocks. One of the main things that I really like about them is that they have a 10%, well, 8.9% investment in Tesla. Now that's huge. Just to give a comparison to the other Kiwisaver offerings in New Zealand, the one with the most exposure to Tesla that I've been able to find is Kiwisaver with 1%. And then for a while I was signed up with Superlife, and they had less than 1%. I think it was something like 0.8 or 0.7. And I'm really unhappy with having any of my Kiwisaver in any company that produces fossil fuel vehicles. So, for example, Toyota, VW. Well, VW is not as bad, but BMW. I just would rather have as much of my money as I can invested in a company that's doing renewable energy kind of stuff. And with SMT, they have a really high investment in Tesla, so that's great because it means that I have more exposure to Tesla, which is what I want, and it also means that I have less of my money that's going to fossil fuel vehicle companies. Now, obviously the videos about SpaceX, so we'll go back to looking at the rest of what they have. Space Exploration Technologies, 0.8%. Now 0.8%, that's not huge, but look, it's something, and it's really cool that I can take my Kiwisaver money and actually have some exposure to SpaceX, no matter how small. And the fact that there's 9% exposure to Tesla doesn't hurt as well. And also, if we have a look at some of the other companies that are a bit further up, a bit higher exposure, we have Amazon, 6.6%. Amazon's not going anywhere anytime soon. We have Tencent, 5.3%. We have one of the main competitors to Tesla, Neo, at 4.5%. We also have Alibaba, Spotify, Netflix, and Zoom, and Nvidia. So there's a lot of really great companies in that mix, a lot of really good technology companies, and from my personal opinion and what I invest in, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking that's a really good high growth portfolio. Now, obviously, I've already said a bit about risk. This is a very high risk portfolio. I think one of the things to keep in mind when making a high risk investment is that you have the potential to lose it all. However, with something like this, most markets will rebound. So while there is a potential for a dip at some point in time, so long as you're not looking anytime sooner than the next 5 to 10 years, you should find that those companies or that overall pie investment rebounds. And personally, in my opinion, I think overall it will outperform the market. We can see further up here that Tesla has been really good to the SMT. So if I just go down to the performance, if we look just at this year, you can see this ridiculous performance here. Now, I don't see where it is. Oh, here we go. So 110% return this year, and that's largely been driven by Tesla. And then we've got 24% last year, and then 4.6% the year before, 41% the year before that. So really good if tech stocks are going up. Probably not that great if tech stocks start going down, but if you believe in a future where we will continue to have a market dominated by tech stocks. This is probably a really good pick. Now, have been talking about SMT. I haven't yet talked about how you can get into SMT. So there's only one provider in New Zealand that lets you invest your Kiwisaver into SMT, and that is Craig's Investment Partners. Now, I actually talked to Craig's recently. Just flicked them an email. They sent me a very sort of nice email and welcome package to give me the details. If you go to this document here, this is a 14th of December 2020 document, and I just scroll down to, this is the list of all the different options they have for the Kiwisaver. So they call it Kiwisaver DIY, and that means that you can actually choose what kind of fund or what shares you're investing in. They offer a lot of exposure to New Zealand shares and Australian shares and some American shares. I wouldn't really want to recommend anyone investing directly into one company with their Kiwisaver, though I would be very tempted if I was if they had Tesla on there, but they don't. But they do at the very end here, Scottish Mortgage Investment Trust PLC. So yeah, when you're signing up with Craig's, it's pretty simple. You just go to, I assume there's an enrollment form online, but they also sent me an online application form. You could probably email them directly if you want to have this link. Really easy. You pretty much just put all your details in here. At the very end of the screen, they will ask you what fund or funds plural that you want to invest in and what percentage you want to invest in. So I just put SMT 100%. And I'm feeling pretty happy with that. So I just wanted to give another caveat as well. I've been investing in Tesla, like I said, since 2016. So I'm actually in the position now where I don't need to worry as much about Kiwisaver. You know, if my Kiwisaver does well, that's great. If it doesn't do well, then I do have other retirement plans. So again, that's just something to keep in mind if you are thinking about putting all of your Kiwisaver into something like SMT. It is quite high risk, and if it's your only retirement plan, then you may want to you know, input that into your calculations as well, because it's not good to have all your money or all your financial assets tied up into one thing. So I have a little bit of a diversification. I have some property, I have my Tesla shares, and then I also am doing this SMT now, and I'm thinking that, you know, if it all goes well, then that's great. I'll be pretty set, and if, you know, the market does downturn and I do end up losing some of my Kiwisaver, I should still have enough to, you know, be able to sort of retire without significant hardship. So just these are all things to keep in mind. I should probably make another video at some point just talking about you know, investing strategy or whatever, but I just wanted to get this out there to walk people through the process of investing in SMT via Craig's Investment, so you can get your Kiwisaver potentially earning some pretty great returns. And also, the other thing as well, the reason I made this video now, the reason I did this Kiwisaver transfer now, is because the SpaceX IPO is going to happen sometime in the next couple of years. We don't know when, but, you know, they are currently launching satellites as we speak. They've currently got about 1,000 satellites up there for the Starlink program, and they will be completely complete at 1,400 satellites. So, in my opinion, I think that the valuation of SpaceX will continue to increase. I think that when Starlink actually starts having a massive subscriber base because it is online and it's functioning, then the valuation of SpaceX is going to go up, and I want to make sure I have some exposure to SpaceX before that valuation change happens, and I want to be able to have that returns coming in from with SpaceX to help me justify investing further in the Starlink IPO when it does go public. So those are all things to keep in mind, all things to be aware of, and look, I really hope everyone has good fortune with their investment, and hope we can continue to invest, hope, and take action for a better future. Thanks.